You might be in on the trick soon enough. Not just yet. Not just yet. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I've seen it. They must kind of stink. Kite knows the scene he's about to see in here, right? Oh, this is beautiful photography. Look at this. Already. Goku and Vegeta, kind of. I see a bit of the inspiration. Oh my god, look at this. Really, really quite cinematic in its approach, the storyboarding, and the actual, you know, the lens application. DD, right? And that was just meant to be like phase 1. Oh. Damn. Yeah, they've got the infrastructure for it then. It's a bit of a ghost town at the moment though, yeah? Oh. 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 Yeah. Yeah, this should be cool. Impressive. But I believe Zeno's is still larger, right? You might get to that point, my friend. Oh my god. Holy shit. Look how slender he is. Bro, you need to chill. Yeah. Have a good look at that, Gon. So nonchalant about it. He's playing into his hands. Oh. Holy shit, chill, Gon. He almost did. Come on, Gon. I'll use you. Yeah. You could try. To be had here about the sadistic nature. Oh. This is it, boys. Back on the horse. Killua, do it. Pull the trigger. They'll have to. That should give him a bit of a check, reality check, okay? Yeah, Ramo showed you as much, right? Boy, yeah. He's got experience in that though. Lots of it. Land of the dead in no time. Assassin mode. Oh. Ooh. Oh. About that. Don't do that. Hey. Oh. Strike to kill. Yeah, she really did. Oh, look at this. grab out. Look at this. Honestly, this is... Hang in there, hang in there. Ah. Rocket, don't be so sure. He's got, I mean, he doesn't know, I know, but... It's kind of similar to Gon's strategy, right? Against Genthuru. It's just a punch. It's all on the assumption that it's going to be a punch. Okay. Okay then. Let's go, Kai. Yeah, Kite's been focusing on him. Yeah, screw the incoming king, I'm the king. Oh. Look at this. Look at this, a slender build. He's charging in just like Kite. Yeah. Oh, let's go. Oh, he's making a fool out of him. Let's see then. Yeah. He keeps charging in. Didn't he say it was a backspin the first time as well? Just like that. No competition. He's stuck on that idea of it being a punch for sure. Ah. Nice! Oh, that looks so cool. Look at that. Gon's not gonna fall for that. Yeah, he's gonna turn around now. He'll finish him off right as he lunges. Damn. But it's his Hatsu though, right? But that also means it could be really quite effective. Conditions and all of that, right? Potential conditions and... It's... Look at this. Right, that sword, that was Transmuter, right? Look at that smile. It'll get there. You might have no choice but to improve, right? Ah, yes. Looks like a crown, doesn't it? Almost kind of like a hand as well. The hand of God. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh. Careful, Colt, careful. Look at him. You've been unleashed, my friend. And it's in all of them. It's within all of them. Oh, that flew by. I love these shots. This is just the tipping point. Okay, yeah. That right there is a monumental moment in the history of the Chimera Ants. It is. Yes, it's a short history, but it's just such a massive step, right? A game changer, beyond a game changer. In the growth of the Chimera Ants, the evolution, the education of the Chimera Ants. I mean, if it wasn't already quite the tricky situation, quite the challenge, quite the threat, right? I mean, it's more than a challenge, of course, the Chimera Ants. Now, a Chimera Ant has discovered Nen. Ultimately, yeah, it was Gon and Killua, right? Kind of unlocking it for him. And also, let's not forget that he actually struggled quite a bit, right? The most painful moments of his life. I mean, it's a short life up until this point. But yeah, it was excruciating pain for Ramot. But he came out. He came out golden on the other end of it, right? And now he's got his swagger back. Beyond getting his swagger back, he's just, I don't know, he feels like a new person. But the key point is that it only really could have been a Chimera Ant that could survive that, right? Gon and Killua's Hatsu and their, formidable attacks. I brought it up in the last episode's discussion, back in Heaven's Arena, right? The disabled fighters, they ended up getting the aggressive approach, and yeah, they paid a price, a permanent price at that. But yeah, this is a Chimera Ant, right? Built different, built so different, built tough, as tough as it gets, really. But yeah, Ramot, he's the one, he's the first one, but he's not going to be the last, is he? No. This is just the beginning. Like I said, the tipping point. Now things are really about to get scary, because of course, Peggy and Colt are immediately on the scene, because Colt could immediately tell that something is wrong or something is different, out of character. This is the signals that they kind of get from each other, the ants, right? They have their own built-in communication system. A little bit earlier, you've got the Lion Crew, and they kind of pick up on the fact that, okay, they're not really picking up signals from Yunjin anymore and his sidekicks. So now that it's happened, right, the next steps are, okay, how exactly did this happen to one of our Chimera Ants, right? And let's figure it out, and once they figure it out, let's kind of keep it going. Let's keep it going. This is, again, a game changer. And of course, people like Peggy and Colt are going to understand that, right? That this is in their best interest to kind of harness, right? So, looking ahead, now, just quite recently, Colt brought him back from that attack, right? From that encounter. Colt decided that he's seen enough, and he came in at just the right time, and he got Ramot out of there. And like I said, I hope Ramot remembers this. At the end of the day, even though he's really quite problematic, for Colt at least, he still came in for him, right? He got him out of there. He could have, it's an issue. It's a problem for Colt. He could have let him die, right? I mean, the thing is, it's not in Colt's nature at all to actually, let that happen. Maybe there's a slight possibility, the most tiniest of possibilities, that maybe Colt thought of it, right? Again, this is not something that I could ever know about. It's just speculation, unless, who knows, maybe down the line, maybe they do talk about it. And maybe Colt does bring up the fact that, I could have left you there. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that might come up in conversation, but right now Ramot might not even care about any of that, right? He's, again, on cloud 9 at the moment. Right now, he must also feel like he could be king, right? Because right now, he's in a really unique position. No one else in their colony or in their ranks has this, right? He is unique at this moment in time. So I'm really quite excited to see how exactly Ramot is going to handle this, and kind of, carry himself after this point. And if he is going to be, I don't know, helpful at all in terms of, potentially kind of aiding, Colt and Peggy in understanding how this came about, or at least give them his, I don't know, his feelings and the whole process, right? As painful as it was, provide that insight that could be useful. But yeah, earlier on I saw another Chimera Ant. It wasn't surprising in the least. Yunjin's treacherous ambitions, right? He put it out there. This is my castle, and a king does not need a reason to be at his castle. And he had grand plans to be the king himself, right? And take over. So yeah, all that talk of radical notions, radical ideas, right? Again, treacherous ambitions. Yeah, it came to be. Right? And yeah, it's not a shocker that it's someone like Yunjin, who really, really kind of, locked into that. And, the moment he decided that, this is going to be his new base, you just knew, okay, it's going there now, the factions and all of that. So yeah. I'm really quite content that I'm kind of dialed in at this point. I honestly really feel like I've been dialed in since the beginning of this arc. And that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, It's a combination of just being really into it, right? And once you're into something, then you're really kind of dialed in into everything it's trying to give you, trying to establish, trying to communicate. And right now, I'm locked in. I feel really quite locked in. But of course, Yunju's, treacherous ambitions are short-lived because of Kite and Ko, right? It really is. Let me kind of, let's put a pin in the ending into, that factory or that base, HQ, underground HQ and all of that. But, I really need to put this out there almost immediately. Kite is one of my favorites of this anime already. For Kite, right? For just the person he is. I just feel, I don't know. I feel like I can feel or I can understand and really get a sense of his accomplishments and the things he's capable of, right? And this is, again, a combination drawn, the way he moves, his demeanor, everything. My God. I immediately feel the gravitas of this character. It's a really distinct presence that came into this anime all of a sudden. I mean, right now, one of the most exciting things about this new arc is Kite. It is. And Chimera Ants, and of course Gon and Killua, but that's, I don't need to state that. That's just the constant, isn't it? It's our constant since day one. But the thing is, them being in the company of Kite, right, being a part of his group, his crew, of course, that's really quite beneficial for them, isn't it? And it's going to continue being beneficial for them. And then of course, there's a connection to Jing. You just love everything about Kite, everything. And I'll come back to that. Let's kind of go back to my initial point about the ending and Rameau, having access to Nen. Now, in terms of actually figuring out how it happened, I don't think it's the biggest mystery, or it's not going to be the biggest mystery for someone like Colt, right? Because a major incident happened, and then he struggled quite a bit, and then all of a sudden, now he's much better. And not just much better, he feels like a new person, that he's had a level up, right? And Colt immediately felt that as well. And then, once him and Peggy go into the chamber, and they really kind of get to see the release of this raw Nen aura that's just kind of, leaking out of him at this point. So I do believe that Colt should be able to figure it out, that indeed this was because he took those attacks, those really specific attacks, and he got a good look at it from high above, right? That it was because of this. And then again, that led to him being in that really painful state, and then this, right? Now, this kind of takes me back to that really unique situation of having, Rameau being the only one, which really quite tough, as showcased through Rameau and his struggles. And then, of course, the light at the end of the tunnel. And, this potential chain reaction begins with Rameau. if he is ready to kind of, assist in passing this on or unlocking it for others, right? It's going to do the same thing for Colt. And if indeed something like that happens, then, Colt is going to know for sure that, okay, this is how you can pass it on. And that's, the potential chain reaction I'm speaking of, a ring of fire. And, the thing is, I can just kind of tell that Rameau is the type of personality and the type of character that, a lot of people, I like him in the sense that I find him really interesting, right? I don't know, now, I'm not saying that I want Rameau to go out there and butcher, like a named character or anything, but, I like the character. At this point, I like a lot of Chimera Ants because they're just so damn intriguing. A handful of them are really quite fascinating. Yes, of course, there's some that I don't care about all that much. Maybe the new Lion and his crew, the Lion doesn't feel all that interesting, not just yet at least. And, they appear to be the next in line, perhaps, to have a go at Gon, Killua, and Kite. But I don't know if it's really the best idea to give me yet another 3-on-3, encounter. But also, before I move on from Rameau, how about a potential rematch? Surely he must be thinking, I'm going to go after them. He made it clear that he's going to come after them, that he's going to, kill them and eat them. And once Colt gets him back to the castle, he's just letting it all out, isn't he? Right? Killing them is not enough. Even eating them is not going to be enough. So yeah, let's see how he proceeds. Let's see how he tackles that. Maybe he can, jump in on a situation. Maybe he can see them out there. Maybe, they're engaging with some of the other Chimera Ants, and then he might see an opening and, get in there, jump in there for a potential rematch, come across them again. But the thing is, just because Nen has been unlocked, right, he has access to Nen, doesn't mean he's going to have a grasp on how to, completely utilize it, like in terms of, again, life force, as Peggy calls it. It's just this jump in energy that he got concerned. And the thing is, he actually was a little bit spooked, right? But then he looks over and, of course, Yunju is standing right there, and he's afraid of him as well, right? Because if he doesn't attack, if he doesn't stay in the fight, he knows he's dead anyways. But yeah, I immediately have to go back to Kite and just how much I enjoyed, this segment of the episode. It's a big deal to finally kind of get a look at Kite in this capacity. There is this intensity about Kite, right? And he's really all about being efficient, right? There is this intensity about him. He's really quite graceful as well, right? In how he carries himself. And also that extends to combat situations as well. I saw a graceful dance out there, right? It's just so graceful. And he's essentially, he moves like he's light like a feather, light like a kite even. It's just beautiful. So beautiful. And I mentioned his slender build, that plays a part as well, right? In these situations, in his movement. But also, it wasn't even a competition, right? He makes Yunju look silly, right? He made a fool out of him. There's that one moment, he even just kind of backflips on his back. And, of course, Yunju just really aggressive, just kind of plays into his hands as well, just by dashing at him, right? Nonstop. And the thing is, Gon almost made the exact same. But then, of course, beyond that, I get to see his Hatsu again, the crazy slots, right? The character, the crazy slot, noxious almost, I suppose to some, certainly to Kite. You see Kite has a really interesting, relationship there. But again, the thing is, it's like his Hatsu, and, there's this confusion, even on my end, in addition to, Gon and Killua's confusion about, okay, if it's so annoying, is this just kind of like a quirky thing that, Kite's kind of just like, this is such a hassle and all of that. Twice I've it kind of feels like it might be a bit of a running gag or a bit of a running theme, I suppose. And I certainly hope I get to see it many more times, right? Because I feel like I need to see a different role, right? Right now, I've only seen the exact same role twice. And the thing is, on both occasions, it actually came in kind of clutch. His reaction to a theme, bit of a running gag, that he's just never satisfied. But the thing is, it kind of ended up being clutch on both different occasions, right? And then, to me, it kind of just feels like, okay, given just a really unique and bizarre nature of this, there must be some conditions and restrictions at play here. So, he has no control over it, right? Because again, the random nature of it. But, the one he does end up getting, you can kind of see that, okay, it's really quite effective, right? Or he makes it really quite effective. But yeah, I feel like there's certainly something interesting behind the development of his Hatsu. I mean, Gon and Killua are certainly quite perplexed, and I'm certainly quite intrigued as well. At one point I almost said it almost sounds like he had no control over this, but I kind of got cut off because there was dialogue on the screen, so I kind of stopped talking, or something else was happening, so I kind of had to stop talking. But yeah, there's even a possibility that maybe he didn't have complete control over actually developing the Hatsu, because again, the way he speaks about it it's almost as if he had no control, because essentially he complains about almost every single component of it, be it the actual role, be it the actual clown guy that shows up, right? And Killua said something like, said something like, apparently, right? But there's also that possibility that it's actually something a bit beyond the actual role itself, the weapon he ends up getting. Maybe it's more to do with the fact that they've established that this man doesn't really like to kill, right? And he certainly hits the idea of like an unclean kill, right? You go back to the fox bear, right? He was disgusted by that kill, that he had to do that kill. So maybe it's just in his nature, regardless of the role, now he has this thing in his hand and has to use, because that's how he gets rid of it. It should be noted that it was still in play after he shot Yunju, and then he comes to Gon's rescue, because Gon just kind of turned his back, right? Now, maybe I was a little bit harsh on Gon. Gon didn't know about the whole, you have to take them out. You have to, crush their head, or, just take out their head, right? That's the kill leave. That is just some dark shit, man. That imagery is just so bizarre to look at. Just who men have had. I mean, it really, truly looked like those two men, they've seen hell. Humans as trash, as lower beings, people that should know their place, that people that don't know their place. If you're not looking, there's a good chance you might be attacked, or you might not see the attack coming, right? And the other thing is things to come, and there really is something quite innocent about that, isn't there? Him having to look away, right? That's his instinct. He couldn't bear to look at it because he saw it. It caught him by surprise earlier. And, they get almost an immediate chance to have another go after, the initial shock of going up against, a really, really tough Chimera ant, right? And, even that moment, they actually show both of them, right? And they're both actually really quite surprised that, those are our best shots, or those are really close to our best shots. And that ant just kind of survived, took them. But yeah, they get their chance. And both of these encounters are really quite engaging and really quite exciting. Killua, of course, turns the switch, or flips the switch. And, he said, it's been some time, right? He's such a natural that he just slots right back in, muscle memory, all of that. And the way he just dismantles that Chimera ant is just, I don't know, it's perfection, isn't it? The execution is just brilliant. The depiction of her head getting, snapped or, flipped upside down, a fantastic directing choice to, present it in that manner. And, you've got to say, it's really quite refreshing that she just kind of accepted that, okay, I got bested. He got me good, right? Almost kind of like she's saying fair play. So I mean, it looks amazing, doesn't it? And listen, I know I keep saying it, but, it really kind of had this Dragon Ball feel to it, didn't it? That little sound effect. It's like that beam sound almost. But yeah, finally, he showcased the transmuter application of his Hatsu. And it's damn effective, really damn effective. But yeah, ultimately, Gon, it's strike to kill at this point. And, Gon's the type of personality that can just kind of lock in. Once he locks in, kind of come across one of the most sadistic Chimera ants in their ranks, right? He has no idea that people like Peggy exist, that people like Colt exist, the turtle ant. Actually, I need to go back and finish up a point about Kite, and how he kind of stepped in to save Gon before, that thing can lunge at him and actually bite him. Yeah, so it didn't disappear after he killed Yunju. He did the thing, right? He used it and he killed the target, but it still remained, right? And he used it against the other one that's about to lunge at Gon. So it really kind of felt like, it's more about completing the job. It wasn't done just yet. I suppose it was needed still, right? So it's not as simple as, okay, take out the target and I suppose the weapon that he does end up getting disappears. No. It stuck around. He still had access to it. Okay, he still needs this. He's not done here just yet. The job isn't completed just yet. And also I learned about Kite's End, the drug army. But yeah, certainly not soldiers of any kind anymore. I mean, they have no dignity left whatsoever. My God, it's just so bizarre and jarring to look at. And just the state of them. I mean, they're certainly better off dead at that point. And of course, Kite certainly has his take on this really bizarre situation, right? I mean, first of all, he puts it out there, right? It's fact that Chimera ants have always been aggressive. But then he also states that it seems specific human genes in their buildup. I mean, yeah, it certainly appears that, the human disposition toward cruelty is at play here. But again, there's plenty of Chimera ants that are not sadistic, that don't, showcase these tendencies. But, one thing is for sure, right? One thing's been really quite clear that, the less ant-like they become, right? And that includes things like loyalty and structure and hierarchy and the sense of collectivism. So yeah, the less ant-like they become, the more malicious their intentions or appetite appears to be. And also, I simply have to speak on the production side of things. This is certainly one of the standouts of this bit, right? I found myself just, marveling at some of these frames, actually supporting the channel in the process as well. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you.